Say hi to everybody. Hey, how old are you now? A year and a half? When's your birthday? March 2014? March 17, you're St. Patrick's dog. Hi everybody. It's August 2015. I love you, London. Love you. Mama's favorite boy. Love you. I love you. Aw. The Lion in Love. Reading A Lion in Love. It happened in days of old that the lion fell in love with the beautiful daughter of a woodman. And one day he came to ask the maiden's hand in marriage. It was only natural that the woodman was not greatly pleased with the lion's offer, and he declined the honor of so dangerous an alliance. Then the lion threatened the parents of the maiden with his royal displeasure. The poor father did not know what to do. Finally he said, "We are greatly flattered by your proposal, but you see, our daughter is a tender child, and her mother and I fear that in expressing your affection for her, you may do her an injury. Would your majesty consent to having your claws removed and your teeth extracted before becoming a bridegroom?" So deeply was the lion in love that he permitted the operation to take place. When he came again to Woodsman's home to claim the maiden for his bride, the father, no longer afraid of the tame and disarmed king of the beast, seized a stout club and drove the unhappy suitor from his door. You like the story? Even the wildest cat can be tamed by love. Oh, isn't it sweet? Love you, London. Bye. See you later. I hope you like the story. You enjoyed that story? London enjoyed the story. Bye. Okay, I'll read you a story. Let's see. The Miser. The Miser. A miser who never stopped worrying about the safety of his many possessions sold all his property and converted into a lump of gold. This he buried in a hole in the ground near his garden wall, and every morning he went to visit it and gloat over the size of it. The miser's strange behavior aroused the curiosity of the town thief. Spying upon the rich man from some bushes, the thief saw him place the lump of gold back in the hole and cover it up. As soon as the miser's back was turned, the thief went to the spot, dug up the gold, and took it away. Next morning, when the miser came to gloat over his treasure, he found nothing but an empty hole. He wept and tore his hair, and so loud were his lamentations that a neighbor came running to see what was the trouble. As soon as he had learned the cause of it, he said comfortingly, You are foolish to distress yourself so over something that was buried in the earth. Take a stone, put it in the hole, and think, this is your lump of gold. You never meant to use it anyway. Therefore, it will do just as good to fondle a lump of granite as a lump of gold. Application: the true value of money is not in its possession, but in its use. Like that story? Read another one, London. The Kid and the Wolf. There was once a very active kid who would leave the goats in the farmyard below and climb onto the steep roof of the farmhouse. Look at me, Mother, he would call down. You are afraid to come up here where I am. The other goats paid very little attention to the boasting kid. But one day, a wolf passed by the farmhouse. He gave one look at the kid on the roof tree and would have passed by, since it was easy to see that here was one dinner that was safe out of his reach. But the kid jeered and bleated, Why don't you try to come up and catch me, coward? The wolf stopped, looked up again, and called back, It is not you who called me coward, but the place on which you are standing. Application: if you must Revile your neighbor. Make certain first that he cannot reach you. You like that story? Okay, here's another one. The creaking wheels. Slowly and ponderously over the dusty road, a yoke of oxen were hauling a heavily laden wagon. Each time the wheels turned on their axles, they set up a tremendous creaking, driven almost frantic by the ear-piercing noise. The driver cried, "Wagon, why don't you make all this clamor and complaint when they who are drawing all the weights are silent?" Application. He who groans loudest is often the least hurt. The falconer and the partridge. A falconer discovered that he had captured a partridge in his net. The bird cried out piteously when he approached, "Please, Master Falconer, let me go. If you will set me free, I promise you that I will decoy other partridges into your net." "No," replied the falconer. "I might have set you free, but one who is ready to betray his innocent friend to save his own miserable life deserves it, possible, worse than death." Application. Treachery is the base crime of all. Do you like that one? That's a good story. Jupiter, Neptune, Minerva, and Momus. In ancient times, when the world was young, Jupiter, Neptune, and Minerva used to spend a great deal of time disputing as to which could make the most perfect thing. So it was decided that they would have a contest with Momus. At that time, he had not been turned out of Olympus, to decide which creation had the greatest merit. Jupiter made a man, Neptune made a bull, Minerva made a house. Then Judge Momus came to judge the contest. He began by finding fault with Neptune's bull because his horns were not below his eyes, so that he could see what he gored with them. Next, he found fault with the man because there was no window in his breast in order that all might see his inward thoughts and feelings. And lastly, he found fault with the house because it had no wheels to enable his inhabitations to move away from bad neighbors. Jupiter, incensed with the carping critic who could not be pleased, forthwith drove the fault-finding judge out of the home of the gods. Application. It is time to criticize the works of others when you have done some good thing yourself. The Lion in Love. Look at this, London. The Lion in Love. I love you. The Lion in Love. It happened in days of old that the lion fell in love with the beautiful daughter of a woodman, and one day he came to ask the maiden's hand in marriage. It was only natural that the woodman was not greatly pleased with the lion's offer, and he declined the honor of so dangerous an alliance. Then the lion threatened the parents of the maiden with his royal displeasure. The poor father did not know what to do. Finally he said, "We are greatly flattered by your proposal, but you see, our daughter is a tender child, and her mother and I fear that in expressing your affection for her, you may do her an injury. Would your majesty consent to having your claws removed and your teeth extracted before becoming a bridegroom?" So deeply was the lion in love that he permitted the operation to take place. But when he came again to the woodsman's home to claim the maiden for his bride, the father, no longer afraid of the tame and disarmed king of the beasts, seized a stout club and drove the unhappy suitor from his door. Lesson, application. Even the wildest cat can be tamed by love. Aww, I love you, baby. He's my little love here. Aw, did you like the story? Did you enjoy the story? We did. Right, Linda? Bye. See you later. I hope you enjoy the stories. Hope you enjoy the stories. Okay, I'll read you another story. The Hare and the Tortoise. A hare was continually poking fun at a tortoise because of the slowness of his pace. The tortoise tried not to be annoyed by the jeers of the hare, but one day, in the presence of other animals, he was goaded into challenging the hare to a foot race. "Why, this is a joke," said the hare. "You know that I can run circles around you." "Enough for your boasting," said the tortoise. "Let's get on with the race." So the course was set by the animals, and the fox was chosen as the judge. He gave a sharp bark, and the race was on. Almost before you could say scat, the hare was out of sight. The tortoise plodded along at his usual unhurried pace. After a time, the hare stopped to wait for the tortoise to come along. He waited for a long, long time until he began to get sleepy. "I'll just take a quick nap here in the soft grass, and then in the cool of the day I'll finish the race." So he lay down and closed his eyes. Meanwhile, the tortoise plodded on. He passed the sleeping hare and was approaching the finish line when the hare awoke with a start. It was too late to save the race. Much ashamed, he crept away while all the animals at the finish line claimed the winner. So lesson, application, slow and steady wins the race. I hope you enjoyed the story. Bye. The Frog Desiring a King. The frogs desiring a king. The frogs always had lived a happy life in the marshes. They had jumped and splashed about with never a care in the world. Yet some of them were not satisfied with their easygoing life. They thought they should have a king to rule over them and to watch over their morals. So they decided to send a petition to Jupiter asking him to appoint a king. Jupiter was amused by the frog's plea. Good-naturedly, he threw down a log into the lake, which landed with such a splash that it sent all the frogs scampering for safety. But after a while, when one venturous frog saw that the log lay still, he encouraged his friends to approach the fallen monster. In no time at all, the frogs, growing bolder and bolder, swam over the log Jupiter had sent and treated it with the greatest contempt. Dissatisfied with so tame a ruler, they petitioned Jupiter a second time, saying, "We want a real king, a king who will really rule over us." Jupiter by this time had lost some of his good nature and was tired of the frogs complaining. So he sent them a stork, who proceeded to gobble up the frogs right and left. After a few days, the survivor sent Mercury with a private message to Jupiter, beseech him to take pity on them once more. "Tell them," said Jupiter coldly, "that this is their own doing. They wanted a king. Now they will have to make the best of what they asked for." So lesson application, enough alone. I hope you like the story. Bye. I'll read you a story. The Goose with the Golden Egg. The farmer went to the nest of his goose to see whether she had laid an egg. To his surprise, he found, instead of an ordinary goose egg, an egg of solid gold. Seizing the golden egg, he rushed to the house in great excitement to show it to his wife. Every day thereafter, the goose laid an egg of pure gold. But as the farmer grew rich, he grew greedy, and thinking that if he killed the goose, he could have all her treasure at once, he cut her open only to find nothing at all. Lesson, the greedy who want more lose all. Okay, bye. Aw, did you like the story? We did. Right, Linda? Bye. See you later. I hope you enjoy the stories. Hope you enjoy the stories.